I'd like to welcome y'all back to the Beyond the Fear podcast, a place where y'all come from a motivating word, encouragement, and just an overall positive experience. I'm your host, DJ. And oh man, it's so crazy because I just recorded this episode, but because the mic wasn't on, no audio got recorded. So I'm back recording this episode again. But today's episode is pretty much you're never too old to go after your goals, your passions, your whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. Your journey is your journey, and you're never too old to start that journey, whether it's something new, something you've been wanting to do, something you've been dibbling and dabbling in, but now you want to try to pursue it full time. You finally found your purpose. I don't feel like you're ever too old to find your purpose. Your purpose comes whenever your purpose comes. And if your purpose comes at 14, cool, you pursue it. If your purpose comes at 54, then cool, you pursue it. And excuse me, this conversation pretty much came about because one of my friends was telling me that they were on vacation and they were in a hotel lobby talking to someone, and I can't remember what the dude said that he did, but it was like traveling something. He was something to do with traveling, so he got paid for the job. I don't know what the job was, but part of the job was just traveling to different parts of the country, different parts of the United States. And so my friend was just like, man, that's cool, that's interesting. I would love to get into that because he likes to travel. But the dude, I won't say, but the dude told him that it requires going to school, so that's what kind of made my friend pause, and he was just like, I'm too old to go to school. I graduated in '07. Here we are in 2024, and my whole thing was, man, if it's something that you want, if it's something that you're serious about, something that you really have a passion for, you know what I'm saying, then go do it. You know what I'm saying? Stop doubting yourself before you even try. Stop telling yourself why it won't work before you've even tried to make it work, before you've even thought about the possibility of it working. You've already told yourself that it won't work. And so my thing is, when you find your purpose and when you find your reason for getting into something, pursue it. You know what I'm saying? Stop doubting yourself. Stop talking to yourself, telling yourself why it won't work. Because my thing is, then it might not work because you're sitting here doubting yourself. Because how can you expect other people to believe in you? How can you expect other people to believe in your dreams, believe in your goals, believe in your purpose, believe in whatever it is that you're trying to pursue? If you don't believe in it, that doesn't make any sense, because if you're trying to promote it or if you're trying to put it out there, people are going to see that you don't even believe in it. People are going to see that you don't even trust what you're doing or you don't believe in what you're doing. So if you're going to do this, then do it. If you're going to pursue it, then pursue it. Don't pursue it halfway. Pursue it like it's going to work. Pursue it knowing that it's going to work. Because for me, I understand there's nothing wrong with going in with realistic expectation. There's nothing wrong with going in understanding that there is a chance that this could fail, but we have to stop treating failure like it's the end of the road, like it's the end of the process. It's just a part of the process. Because like I've said before, I don't care who you talk to. I don't care if it's whoever you look at and you think automatically think success. I don't care if it's a business owner, um, a lead cook, whatever, whoever you look at and you think, wow, this person is successful. I guarantee you, if you ask them to tell you their story, they're going to talk about the failures. They're going to let you know that there were a lot of failures in their life. There were a lot of ups and downs. There were a lot of low moments. There were a lot of low points. There were um, hills and valleys. And you know what I'm saying? They're going to talk about that. There's failure in every single success story. I don't care what success story you look at. There's failure in it. You know what I'm saying? There are downfalls, there are pit stops, there are whatever you want to call them. They're in everybody's story. It's a part of the process. So we got to stop looking at things that just because they fail, now that's the end of my story or that's the end of this road. Like, no, it's all about perspective, because that's really just a pit stop. Learn what you need to learn from this downfall, learn what you need to learn from this pit stop, and then move forward, move on, because there's more to your story. Your story is not over. This is just the part of your story where you did something didn't go the way you wanted it to go, or things just didn't work out, or you had the wrong business partners, whatever the case may be. There's something in there that just didn't work. Fix that piece, you know what I'm saying? Work on it, and then go back out there and try it again. Because if it's meant for you, it's meant for you. If this is something that you want to do, you have to be willing to sacrifice for it. You have to be willing to work for it. You got to be willing to put the time in to go get it, to go achieve it. You know what I'm saying? If it's that important to you, if it's something that you really want, you have to be willing to go for it. You have to be willing to sacrifice for it. And you got to understand that, yeah, you're going to have your doubters, but you don't need to be one of them. You don't need to be one of the doubters. You already going to have enough people who doubt you, who hate you, or who are hating on you because you're doing something. Because there's so many people in this world that are paralyzed by their fear, who are paralyzed by the fear of failure, the fear of just trying something new, like does something to them. I used to be one of those people. I tell people all the time that what finally got me out of my comfort zone wasn't somebody telling me, wasn't somebody's words of encouragement or words of wisdom of, you know what I'm saying, just, hey, it's a beautiful place once you get past your fears. You know what I'm saying? Those things didn't do nothing for me. What finally got me out of my comfort zone, and what finally got me into a place to where I was willing to go past, face my fear, and then get past my fear, was the fact that my comfort zone was no longer comfortable. It got to a point to where I knew I needed to move on. I knew that I needed to move forward, but my comfort zone was still comfortable. So I stayed. I stayed in my comfort zone way longer than I should have, because it was still comfortable. It wasn't until the moment when my comfort zone was no longer comfortable. In that moment when my comfort zone was no longer comfortable, that's what pushed me past my fear. That's what pushed me to face my fear and then eventually move past my fear. Was the thought of the one place where I thought I would be comfortable, it's no longer comfortable. And that's what pushed me. And so sometimes people have to get uncomfortable in their comfort zone to get out of their comfort zone. And sometimes that's just what it takes. And I was one of those people, like, your words, and even though I knew that they were true, even though I knew and I understood, like, man, I'm setting myself up for failure, I know that it's going to come crashing down. And even though I knew these things, it did not matter, because your words didn't move me enough. Your words weren't going to move me enough to get out of my comfort zone, because my comfort zone just had me locked in a box like that. And I allowed it to happen. Like, I allowed it to happen. My mindset, I was quick to doubt myself. I was quick to not believe in myself, all of that. So all of that just kind of worked together to put me in that box, and I stayed there. But once I got uncomfortable enough to where it was time to move out of my comfort zone, I realized whatever ceiling that I had put on my life, or what type of expectations I put on my limits, were just self-imposed, and there really was no limits. I know now that as long as I'm willing to make the sacrifices I need to make, and I'm willing to work and put the work needed in to whatever it is I'm trying to do, I can achieve whatever it is that I want to achieve, because I understand to go places I've never been, I have to put in work and do things that I've never done. And to get out of places where I've always been, I have to stop doing things that I've always done. And you know what I'm saying? It is such a simple concept when you think about it, but when your comfort zone has a hold on you, or when you just doubt yourself, it's like it didn't matter. I could know that you were right. I could know, like, this is where I was in life. I was that person who, you could tell me, hey, you want the path that you're on is going to lead to nothing but trouble. And I can know that you're right, But the work that I would put in, the work that I would have to put in to get on this other path and to stay on this other path, I just wasn't willing to do. So I was willing to take that path and deal with the trouble and deal with the downfall of what came with staying on that path. My problem was that was one of my problems. My other problem was I wanted to blame everybody else once the downfall happened. Once everything that people told me were going to happen, once it started happening, I wanted to get mad at everybody else but myself for staying on that path, even though people told me get off that path, put the work in and get onto another path. I just wasn't motivated. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't motivated. People's words just were not motivating me. So even though their words made sense, and even though I understood where they were coming from, and like I said, even though, especially as I got older, I knew that they were telling me the truth, and I knew that it was going to get bad. It was going to get real dark, and it was going to get real bad for me at some point if I stayed on this path. I just didn't have the motivation to get onto to do the work to get onto another path, so that way I could avoid it. So when it eventually happened, I would be mad at the world and I'd be mad at everybody else, but I would never take a look. I would never look in the mirror and take a look at myself and be like, but people told you not to do this. People told you to get off this path. People told you what was at the end of this journey, and you just chose not to listen. You can't sit here and get mad at everybody else for your choices. And I did that for a long time until, I had to finally look in the mirror. And so that's why I'm so big on looking in the mirror. That's why I'm so big on being accountable and holding myself accountable for the things that I do, because I didn't do it for the longest time. And I would just get mad at everybody else, when they would tell me, don't do this, don't go down this path, don't, what I'm saying, you're going to make it hard for yourself. And I just didn't listen. I didn't want to listen. And I just wasn't motivated to do the work to get off the path. And that was my fault. And that was my problem. That was something that I should have done. But my comfort zone was just too comfortable. I was somebody who relied on the comfort of my comfort zone. I was someone who, whenever I would try something and it wouldn't work, I would just, okay, I'm no longer motivated. I would relax into my comfort zone. I would just go straight into my comfort zone and I would just stay there until, again, mind you, that's most of my life. It wasn't until literally what is it? Like maybe 6 months ago, once I finally started to get uncomfortable in my comfort zone. So I started to do something new. I started to try something new. I started to find a passion for, doing the videos and doing the podcasts and things like that. So I'm starting to find my passion now, because I wish that I would have. Part of me used to wish, like, man, I wish I would have done that back in like 2016, 2017, when somebody very first told me, like, you should do a blog, or you should do what they were saying, like blogs or vlogs back then. Podcast wasn't really big. But even in 2020, when COVID kind of happened and the podcast started to get big, and people were saying, man, I wish you should do it. You should do a podcast, or we should do a podcast. After, me and a friend would have like an interesting conversation, be like, man, we could have turned this conversation into a podcast. But again, me not believing in myself, like, the only thing that I would think when people would tell me that is, no, nobody want to hear what I got to say. Don't nobody care what I have to say. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't be successful. So I just doubted myself for the longest time. And so that's why I say a part of me wish I would have done it back then. But honestly, I needed to go through everything I needed to go through from 2000, from whenever to now, to have that, to build that belief in myself, because I believe in myself. And so even if people aren't listening now, they will listen at some point. And I do believe that. I do believe in myself, and I do believe that I will get people to listen and to hear me at some point. When that point is, I don't know, but I have faith and I trust and I believe in myself enough that my message will get to somebody at some point. So for me, it's definitely worth continuing to put the messages out. It's worth continuing to do the videos and continuing to do the podcast, because I know what it can be. I believe in myself. I believe in my messages. I believe in what I'm doing. So for me, it's just a passion thing for me. And it took time for me to get here. It took time for me to get to this point to where I believe in myself enough to actually get past my fears of failing, and to get past my fears of people not wanting to hear or people not wanting to pay attention, to get to a point to where, again, I believe in myself 100%. I believe in the people around me, my support system and things like that. So everything is finally starting to line up for me to where it's like, okay, it's just time to go. Now is the time for me to do what I need to do, because I'm believing in myself. I'm trusting in myself. I'm trusting in what I'm doing. And I'm trusting that I'm starting to find my purpose, and I'm starting to find the things that I'm passionate about. So I'm starting to see myself putting in the work. I'm seeing that I'm willing to sacrifice personal time to do what I need to do, because I understand how important this is to me. Because that's just like when I started working, I would always ask myself, why are these, if we started, it would be me and somebody, I would start at the same time as people. Sometimes people would start after me, and it was like, why do I see this person succeeding and excelling at this rate, and I'm not doing what I need to be doing, or I'm not exceeding, I'm not excelling? And it's just like, because I've always been, because I want to make sure I want to make sure that I put this in the right words, right? The type of worker that I've always been is, when you tell me, once you show me the job, I can do the job. I can do the job to a T. But for me, the problem was, and what I realized is that I wasn't putting in the extra work. Sure, I was saying all the right things. I was saying, oh, I want to get into leadership, and I want to get into management, and I want to do this and I want to do that. But I was never showing, and my actions never showed. My actions never matched up with my words, because I also was the person that, when it's time to go, I'm out the door. When it's time for me to clock out, I'm clocked out and I'm out the door. Whereas other people who were saying, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to be a lead, I want to be that, they were staying. They were putting the time in. They were going to take those tests. They were going to do those classes. They didn't mind shadowing a department manager. They didn't mind going and trying to work in a new department and learn a new department. I wasn't trying to do any of that. I was just, this is what you asked me to do, so this is what I'm gonna do. And then I started, and again, because my whole goal for the longest time was finding my routine, or finding my comfort zone at work. So once I started to realize, okay, if I do this first, knock this out, this is the hardest part. Everything else is kind of a breeze. It's a little easier. Time will flow a lot faster, and I'll get through my work at this time, and then I have this many hours to just kind of chill. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going through my routine, trying to find my routine, trying to find my rhythm at work. And that's what I put my hard work into, trying to figure out how to make my job easier. You know what I'm saying? I didn't put the work in to try to excel or to try to move up. I was putting the work in to figure out how I can maximize my comfort at work. And that was just me. And I'm gonna tell you what changed for me. What changed for me is, once I finally got on the forklift. Once I finally got on the forklift, that made me, that was something that I enjoyed doing. That was something that I had a passion for. So that was finally that thing that made me say, hey, I'm willing to stay. Hey, I'm willing to take classes to learn. I'm willing to get OSHA certified, all of these things. I even remember going home and doing like getting my OSHA, is it OSHA 10? I remember doing that in like a day. Like, when I find stuff that I'm passionate about, I can get very motivated to do stuff. So I remember doing that, going and getting like OSHA 10 certified or something like that, because somebody told me that'll help me. I can't remember what they told me, but it was just something. So that made me that day go find out how I can get OSHA certified. I paid for the classes. I took the classes in like a day or 2 days, and I got my card in the mail like a week or two later. So now I was just like OSHA 10 certified or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? But that was like the first thing, especially at work, that motivated me, was being on that forklift. So now You got managers. I could be just getting ready to clock out, or I could have just clocked out, getting ready to go out, and they'd be like, "Hey, we just got a truck. Well, do you mind unloading it?" "Oh, I don't mind. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do this and I'll do that." And so people started to see a difference in me. And it's not so much that I was a different person. It was just I have something new. I have something that I'm passionate about. So I don't mind spending that extra time being there so that I can get comfortable with it. So I understood the more trucks that I did, the more comfortable I would get on the forklift. So I didn't mind doing the trucks. I didn't mind unloading truck after truck. I didn't mind being out there the entire day, even though that wasn't my job, being out there and the entire day unloading 10, 12 trucks because they all came in at one time because we getting ready to have a big sale on something. So we need to make sure we got the product and, in the store. I didn't mind that one bit. And I think that that's when people started to look at me different. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I'm not thinking nothing about it. I'm not even noticing it because for me, I'm just having fun with the fact that I'm learning something new. You know what I'm saying? Because I never realized that I had a passion for being on a forklift. I didn't know that I would I would be this natural, quote unquote natural, on the forklift, but I can honestly tell you that from the moment I sat down on that forklift for the very first time, that it was just something there for me. It just did something for me. And I knew that this is where I wanted to be. And the reason why I knew that is because, excuse me, the very first time that I got on the forklift, I'm gonna tell you what my instructions were, or how they trained me. It was literally this this goes up and down. This lever moves it, tilts it up and down. This shifts the thing left and right. All right, go unload the truck. That was it. That was like my training. Them literally just showing me what each lever did for the forks on the forklift. And it was like, okay, now go unload this truck. And it took me a little time. It took me longer than normal, but I was able to unload it. That was my first time being on a forklift, but I loved it from the very beginning of it. Because normally I'll be like, well, man, that ain't enough instructions. I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody need to come out here and help me. But for me, it was like, you know what? All right, let me go do it. Because like I said, the moment I sat in it, it was like, it was just something about it that made me say, okay, cool. This is what I want to be doing. And that's what turned things around. I won't say that's what turned things around. I'll say that's what made people start looking at me different. Because now it's, oh, DJ doesn't mind staying. DJ doesn't mind putting in the overtime. DJ doesn't mind staying 2, 3 hours. And there was a few times when I would do a whole nother shift. They'd be like, man, we just want you on this machine because you're one of the few people who know how to work it. We can trust you. We know that if we let you do this, we ain't got to worry about it not getting done. It'll get done. It'll be get done right, and we can trust you. So once I got that level of trust at a job to where they know, okay, if we tell DJ just, hey, go work that, go do those, go move those pallets, go put those pallets up in the air. Like, we understand it's going to take all day because it's a lot of pallets, but we trust that he can do it. We trust that he's going to do it the right way. He's going to get it done. And you know what I'm saying? He'll log it, scan it, put everything where it needs to be. But I had found that passion because for me, being on those machines, whether it was a forklift, reach truck, swing reach, the OP I didn't care for as much, but you know what I'm saying, just being on equipment, that's where a lot of my passion was. So I didn't mind putting in the overtime. I didn't mind putting in the work. I didn't mind just doing the little things. I don't care if it was something like, just watering all to make sure all the machines had water for the battery, or making sure that all the machines were charged up before the shift, or coming in early to put every machine on charge so that when we get on them, once our shift starts, they have a little charge. It was like those little things for me, I didn't mind doing because I found something that I was just passionate about as far as work. So again, that just started to change people's outlooks on me as far as managers, because I was the guy who, he's going to do the bare minimum. He's going to do just enough, whatever that threshold is for just enough. He's going to do just that. and then he's going to go. But once I started to get on the machines and I started to find, my passion for these machines and for the warehouse, it picked up. It was like, okay, he's willing to do a lot more, not just a little more. He's willing to do a lot more. And so that's what changed people's mind, because I found a passion. And for me, the moment I got on that machine, it was like one of the few times that, even though I'm trying something new and I don't have a lot of instruction, I did not think that I was going to fail. There was never a thought of failure in my mind. And even when I busted a bag, because again, it's my first time being on it, I had to unload some Quickcrete. So even when I busted a bag of Quickcrete, it was never, okay, I'm never getting on this thing again. It's no, like, I got to learn from this. I got to get better at this. And I wish that I would have taken that mindset into other parts of my life, but I didn't. But I can honestly say that that was one of the first times, it was definitely one of the first times where I was trying something new in my adult life. And even though everything probably, when you line everything up, this your first time on a machine, you finna unload a truck, and all they really told you is just how it works. You haven't had any practice on this machine. Everything was lined up for me to fail. But yet, when I went and did it, it was never a thought of failure. I never went into it. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to fail. Thoughts of failure were never on my mind. I was confident that I was going to get through this truck. You know what I'm saying? But I also knew that there would be a chance that I would mess up. So when I did mess up and I hit that bag, it wasn't, oh, I feel so defeated. It was just like, dang, I got to be better next time. But it also, one of the few times where, even though I failed, it motivated me to get back up and try again. So it wasn't like well, I won't say I failed, but it wasn't like when I messed up and I tore a couple of bags. It wasn't like, okay, I'm ready to get off this machine. I don't want to do this anymore. It was, no, I want to get better, because I want to get to the point to where I can complete this without tearing a bag. And once I did that, it was like, okay, I want to be able to complete this in X amount of minutes. Like, the people who are accustomed to doing it are doing. And so once I got to the point to where I could complete the unloading of the truck in a certain amount of minutes, it was like, okay, cool, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm really confident. So again, I did not mind doing the work. I did not mind unloading the trucks, because for me, all it was practice. That's all I looked at it as, was practice to get better. And that's something I enjoy doing. So it unlocked a passion for me, and it unlocked something for me. So it was like killing two birds with one stone, because it was showing me, it was allowing me to get the practice to get better at doing the forklifts, but it was also showing leadership and management, oh, he does care. There is passion in him. He is willing to work. He is willing to sacrifice. He doesn't mind doing the work. He doesn't mind showing. He doesn't mind training. Because once I got it locked in, and once I was down, and once I was one of the go-to people for the forklift, I didn't mind teaching. I didn't mind showing. So, I'd be out there teaching people for hours, and for me, I didn't even care about getting the extra money for that, because I just wanted to be out there with the machine. So, and I know I went off on a long tangent with that, but to me, I say all of that to say, whenever you find your passion, or whenever you find whatever it is that's your thing, that makes you feel, that brings life back into you, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what the forklift did for me. Like, because I was at work just kind of ho hum, whatever. But once I finally got on that thing, it was just like there was a new joy, a new passion for work for me personally, because I was finally getting to do something. I finally found something that, especially at work, that made me happy, that made me want to go learn, that made me want to go take these tests, that made me want to go shadow somebody so I can learn how to work this machine and X, Y, and Z. I finally found that passion. So I don't care what age you are, when you find your passion, when you find your joy, when you find your purpose, pursue it. And especially if you have people around you who can help make that work for you. For like, if you have a family and you have a partner or you got friends and family who can, help you out. Cause I understand that a lot of people have family. So you got to juggle family life, work life, and trying to go back to school to pursue your dreams. But if you have the right people around you who are willing to help you, even if you have to start at a slower pace, you might not be able to do 4 or 5 classes every semester. You may only be able to do 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 classes. So it might take you a longer time because your progress is slower, but at least I'll take slow progress over no progress. And we gotta, and I think that so many times we just talk, whenever we do find that passion, we figure out 6, 7 ways of why it won't work before we even think about why it will. So yes, you got a family, yes, you got kids, yes, you got a marriage and things like that. But if you got the right people around you and they just want to see you happy, they want to see you succeed, even if it's just 1 or 2 classes a semester, go do it. You know what I'm saying? Go do those 1 or 2 classes. Don't worry about the people who get to do 4 or 5 classes because they have the time. They have a luxury that you don't have, which is more personal time, more free time to go do those things. Do what you got to do, but you have to be willing to sacrifice personal time in this scenario. And you got to be willing to put the work in. And that's going to be a lot of work because you're just adding more work to what may already be a busy life for you. But if it's something that you want and it's something that you're willing to pursue and you're willing to sacrifice and work for, go for it, especially if you have the backing of your family and your village who are willing to help you work and go get it. So if you got that, go get it. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. If you know what you want to do, you found your purpose in life, you found what you want to do in life, and go pursue it, go get it. And the other message, real quick, that I'll say is get out of your own way, because that was my story. I was a person getting in my own way. I was self-sabotaging myself because I didn't believe in myself. I doubted myself. I I gave up on myself way too early. And so I was my biggest obstacle. So if that sounds like you, stop being your biggest obstacle. Believe in yourself, trust in yourself, go get what you want to go get, and believe that you can get it. Believe that you can achieve it before you've even tried to achieve it. Stop thinking that you can't have it or you can't go get it before you've even tried, because all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure. Because the moment you do fail, it's like, see, I told myself that I wasn't going to be able to do it. Believe in yourself, trust in yourself, and get out of your own way. And that's the message of the day is, I don't care how old you are or how young you are, pursue your purpose, go after your purpose, and get out of your own way. Stop being your own obstacle. And I would like to thank everybody who's listening on whatever platforms you're listening on the podcast. I really do appreciate you. And for anybody watching this on YouTube, y'all already know, please like, comment, and subscribe and share. And y'all have a blessed day.